Yep. How's everyone doing? Um, it's been a minute since I read. Not looking the best. Just woke up. Well, not too long ago. I have not washed my face, so that's the situation with that. Yeah, I need to shave. Anyways, still on this book. I'll continue to read. Yeah. It was just after sundown somewhere along the Clark Fork River in western Montana. I've been driving since 8 that morning, so I was pretty tired and looking for a trailer park to stretch, rest, and catch the last Pac 12 college football game on my satellite TV. With the last town too far behind me and the next one 50 miles ahead, I was in the middle of nowhere and I saw a campground sign in my headlights on the right. I immediately slowed down and took the dark dirt road off the highway. I drove down the pitch black pine tree lined trail until the path was no more. I stopped, looked around. No one. No facilities, no nothing. Mr. Hudd and I got out of the Cosmo, the canoe hitched behind us, to suss out the situation and look for a clue. Nothing. Then, through the pine forest, about 40 yards farther into the woods, I saw the small radiating orange ebb and flow ember of a cigarette being smoked. I killed the ignition, locked the doors, and with Miss Hudd at my side, headed for the glow. On approach, I noticed a figure in an all-white chef's uniform, smoking, leaning against the wall, left leg straight, right knee bent, reminding me of my brother Pat back in high school. As soon as I got within earshot, the figure asked, "Looking for a spot?" "Yeah," I said, with an open southern sky from my satellite dish. Without a nudge in his stance or a pause in his puff, he motioned, his head high and right. "Talk to Ed at the bar. He'll set you up." Miss Hudd and I headed in that direction and came to a large hardwood door in the side of the same massive barn-like structure the chef was leaning against. I opened it, and a wave of light, music, and revelry came blaring out. It was a tavern, and it was Saturday night, with thick enough walls to not know if you were in it. The place was packed, hopping. We stepped inside and looked for the bar when the big brown welcoming eyes of Cheyenne barmaid bounced up and introduced herself. Uh, "Hi, I'm Asha. Come in. Anything I can get you?" "Yeah," I said. "I'm looking for Ed." She nodded across the room. "That's him behind the bar over there." I glanced up to a busy bar and took then to the back of the balding, long gray-haired head behind it. "Thanks, Asha." "Sure. Need anything? Let me know," she said, winking as she danced back into the fray. Miss Hudd at my heel, we crossed to the bar. "Hey, Ed." I raised my voice to get his attention over the hubbub. "Yeah, what do you want?" Ed yelled from a beer tap, barely glancing over my shoulder. Busy serving that local crowd what he already knew they wanted. Ed wasn't looking for any new business tonight. He stayed within his pour. Ed had an epileptic tic, where his face contorted and his tongue stretched out of his mouth, without his choosing, but his condition had obviously done nothing to dampen his superiority as this saloon's concierge. A spot with an open southern sky, I pointed. "So my satellite dish can get reception for the 9 o'clock football game." Now crossing to serve that beer he just poured, he glanced my way on his way by and said nope. "Hey, you Matthew McConaughey?" A soft voice to my left drunkenly asked. Making sure to stake my ground and not appear to be an easy prey, for the night's entertainment, I answered in a semi-smart-ass way. "For 29 years," I said. "Why?" Too drunk, too drunk to catch my diss. A big smile came across the guy's face, and he said, "She." I knew it. He grabbed my hand and shook it. "I'm Sam. Sit down and let me buy you a drink. Introduce you to my Uncle Dave. He's in the crapper right now. Be back in a minute." I decided this place looked more fun than a football game, and since they weren't offering a southern sky anyways, I obliged. Let me take my dog for a walk and set up my trailer. Be back in 30. I left the bar to walk out when I heard a voice bark from the bar. That'll be $11. Take any spot you want. They're all open. It was Ed. 30 minutes later, I walked back in and bellied up to the bar between Sam and his uncle, Dave. What are you drinking, Matthew? Double Cuervo on the rocks. I said loud enough for Ed to hear, but he didn't. Hey, sugar, Sam said to Asha, who was passing by. Give my good friend Matthew here a triple Cuervo on the rocks, will you, sweetie? Sure thing, Sam, and you know my name's Asha, so quit being afraid to call me by it, she said with a wink. I looked around the place. Everybody was smiling, flirting, finishing dinner, taking shots, dancing, and playing slot machines. They'd all been here before, so I've seen most of them for years, especially Sam. Sometimes I have to set immediate boundaries, or people will take advantage of my time. Signatures, pictures, phone calls to their second aunt's babysitter, who's a big fan. In this particular instance, everybody was loose and I was on their territory, so I chose to set the precedent early that I was not here for show and tell. If I would have amiably answered, yeah, how'd you know? I would have opened the floodgates to be treated like a show pony. By giving the cutting answer I did, I let Sam and everyone in earshot immediately know I was not there tonight for their entertainment. I had to give him a little yellow light so I could have my green. Hey, honey bun, give us another round, will you? He flirted to another passing barmaid later. 3 more over here, baby doll, he said to another the next time. I noticed that each time he called them by a general term of endearment, they each then asked him to call them by their own names instead. The girls were not threatened. They were not concerned with gender politics. If anything, they showed affection for him. Between rounds 4 and 5, Sam got up to go to the restroom. I asked his Uncle Dave, who had been quietly sitting on the other side of me the entire night. What's with Sam calling every barmaid sweetie, honey, baby, or sugar, and every barmaid asking him to call by her name instead? Uncle Dave took a sincere swig before looking me in the eye and giving me his answer. Sam lost his first and only wife 2 weeks after they got married 6 years ago. And after 6 years of coming in here with him 6 nights a week, he still don't remember any of the barmaids' names. Hasn't remembered them or been able to say any woman's name since. He can't. Around 3 a.m. with the bar thinned out, but the party far from over, I was rolling dice against the wall with a dozen of the late night patrons. Josie, the tavern's hotel manager, was 35 years old, had crooked teeth, a receding hairline, a pair of 34-inch waist dicky pants leather belted around her 26-inch midsection, a loyal black Labrador by her side, a 13-month-old son sleeping in the baby carriage on the floor next to her, all credited to a one-night stand she had a little over 2 years back when she was traveling here just like me, and met a dude named Jack in this very bar, where they proceeded to head to his hotel room and shag up for the night. When she woke up the next morning, Jack was gone, but his black lab was still bedside, so she hung around the place for a while, and a couple months later, she found out she was pregnant. Tonight, Josie was rolling the dice for a new set of tires because last month I drove 8 miles on the flat one and ruined the other 3. Then there was Donnie, an organic mushroom farmer who was currently living in a cabin with Donna. The drunker he got, the more sentimental and concerned he got about politics. Thinking he's sleeping with Donna. D&D. Everyone kept teasing them. You see, Donna was married, but her man had to take a drilling job in Alaska, where he'd been working there for the last year. She admitted she thought about shagging up with Donnie because he's a man and I'm a woman, but said, I'm just helping him out because he don't have a place to stay and I got an extra room. Donna had 2 master's degrees, but degrees don't get you far in Montana, she said. I work at Humane Society 50 miles from here in Missoula all day, then bartend here at night. Then she showed me the hair she'd been growing on her legs and arms pits since August. Getting ready for winter, she said. Bill and Susie had been married 22 years and ran a bar 15 miles up the road that never paid for itself, so they retired from working together altogether. Susie swore that being the mother to Bill's 2 teenage sons from his previous marriage was a lot harder than making that bar stay open. Bill said that Montana's greatest export is its kids. Primary education was excellent, and most parents were good ones. But since it was so hard to make a living in this state, all the kids leave to find work. But once they make enough money to get by, they all move back home because there's nothing like Montana. Glad they didn't have a spot with an open southern sky. Green light. One of the great freedoms of trailer life is that you can hitch up, leave, and find a new backyard whenever you want. Chase down sporting events, concerts, boondock in the desert, wake up to a grizzly bear out your window, on an Idaho River morning, hike through the Antelope Valley of Utah, meet people like I did in Montana, or get a Port Authority escort through Times Square in New York City. But you need a place to get your mail. I especially like the Golden, Colorado summers and the Austin, Texas autumn, so I get a P.O. box at the park in each one. These two destinations served as home bases for me, two addresses where Miss Hud and I would stop and stay a while, read my mail, hardwired to city amps and water, hang out with old friends, and plan our next adventure. And then a poem is White Collar Prayers. Ever been to a Baptist church in the Deep South? They pray real prayers. They pray for things they need. God, if I'm sick, bring me a doctor. God, if I'm sued, bring me a lawyer. God, if I'm cold, bring me a blanket. God, if I'm hungry, bring me food. Blue collar prayers. Then there's the privileged prayers. They pray fake prayers. They pray for things they want. God, help me win this game. God, make mama buy that dress. God, get me an Oscar nomination. God, let me get that yacht. White collar prayers. We need to quit asking God to answer these type of prayers. He's busy trying to get us a new set of tires. October 23, 1999. After over 3 years on the road, Miss Hud and I started hankering over for a tad more domesticity. Cleaner sheets, a full kitchen, and some water pressure sounded like Shangri-La. So I decided to rent a 2-bedroom house in the sleepy little neighborhood of Terrytown, in the heart of Austin. Besides the autumns and going to college there, I liked Austin because it always let me be myself. It's really the secret to why Austin is so cool. All you have to be in Austin is you, and Austin appreciates it when you are. It never needed proof of me in a picture. It always just had been happy to see me. Terrytown was a kind of neighborhood where dogs ran off the leash, kids could chase a ball into the street without looking for an oncoming car, and grandparents hadn't changed their address since they were born there. I had a garden to tend to, a one-hitter to hit before I did, and my alma mater's football season to watch live. It was late Saturday afternoon in Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium, where my 18th ranked Texas Longhorns had just beaten the undefeated and number 3 nationally ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers 24-20, handing the Huskers their only defeat of that season. The city was on fire, so was I, and it was time to celebrate. I partied through the night into Sunday and through Sunday night without sleeping a wink. Alright, that's where we'll be stopping today, and we're likely going to pick this up tomorrow. Yeah.